Harry's Wife, Part 101.71. Threat. You're binned unless. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing to teach you all about narcissism. And, of course, the prominent example of Harry's Wife continues to provide us with so much material to analyse and dissect. This time we turn to the US Sun, with an article by Fiona Connor, which tells us, love is in the air, H-E-I-R. Harry's wife told Prince Harry she'd break up with him if he didn't announce they were dating. Some narcissists use threat. Some do so explicitly, others don't really, but leave it hanging in the air. I have a specific video, The Narcissist and Threats, which you should utilise. And also, if you find yourself in the compromising position of a narcissist potentially threatening to use sensitive material against you, often the case of you having made a sex tape or sent some compromising material to a narcissist, I'd encourage you to go to the Knowledge Vault and find, will the narcissist use the sex tape against me? The information contained in that will set you at ease and help you plan for the steps that you can take. In very broad terms, lesser narcissists will use threats but only tend to execute them if you're stood next to them, that you're nearby. Otherwise, they won't act on the threat because it's too much like hard work. So, for instance, they might turn up at the door of a friend's house and tell you, you better get yourself home now or there'll be hell to play. And if you refuse, they march in and grab you and, in front of shocked onlookers, manhandle you out of the house. They don't operate a facade. They don't care. They need to assert control over you. Mid-rangers are extensive users of threats, primarily because they are shriveled, worn-up-bald cowards, and they will regularly use threats for a variety of reasons, which I'm not going to go into in this video. You can go and watch The Narcissist and Threats to understand more, as that's a comprehensive breakdown. But simply, the mid-range narcissist loves to use threats because they're so useful to them. Will they carry them out? Occasionally, but for the most part, no. The greaters and the ultra don't use threats, at least not expressly. There might be a raised eyebrow, which basically suggests, I think it would be in your best interests if you did what I'd suggest you do, or that you refrain from the behaviour that you're about to engage in. But generally speaking, the greater and the ultra won't give you any warning about what's going to happen. Indeed, we keep our cards close to our chest and we get you later, coming out of left field, and you may not even know that it is us that is behind it. We don't issue a threat. Issuing a threat puts the opponent on guard, heightens the defences. A senior strategist, as such as the greater or the ultra, doesn't engage in such behaviour. An excellent general doesn't send a messenger to the opposing army saying, this is how I'm going to attack you. Instead, we make a note of your transgression, maybe smile at you, treat you well, and then take your legs from beneath you at a later juncture, without you knowing why or where it came from, but we do. Leaving all of that to one side, narcissists do utilise, where lesser and mid-range, extensive use of threat, and it's no surprise to find that Harry's wife does so in order to assert control over Harry, nullify potential threats, and, of course, to manipulate him. Let's dive into the article and find out more about what happened. Harry's wife told Prince Harry she would break up with him if he didn't announce publicly they were dating, a new book has claimed. How Harry must now be thinking, if only I hadn't made the public announcement, she could have broken up with me and I would have been spared this shitstorm. In his latest work, Courtiers, the hidden power behind the crown, royal correspondent and author Valentine Lowe says the Duchess of Sussex dished an ultimatum to her now husband. According to an extract from the book, published on The Times, as Harry was facing hordes of journalists keen to dig into his new girlfriend's life, Harry became determined to protect her, exhibiting emotional empathy for his girlfriend, acting in a protective manner. But at the same time, it's claimed Harry's wife told him that if he didn't announce how serious they were, she was out. She's issuing this threat, of course, to keep him under control, but also to embed him by ensuring that the world at large knew that they were an item, which would also enable her to assert control over those individuals and draw fuel from them. Remember, she doesn't realise that's the reason that she's doing it. Her narcissism will have caused her to think in such terms as, oh, he mustn't really be keen on me. He mustn't be committed to me because he's not telling the rest of the world. So it would create insecurity in her. That's what the narcissism would do. It would make her feel insecure about the relationship. So as a consequence of so doing, it compels her to then say to him, you better tell the world that we're together or else. The book claims a source said, she was saying, if you don't put out a statement confirming I'm your girlfriend, I'm going to break up with you. Harry was in a panic. Naturally, the old Prince of Pink Pancakes wanted to ensure they continued to be drained as pink raisins, and they didn't want to lose out on the spicy poontang. Another source said he was freaking out, saying, she's going to dump me. Lowe states Harry turned to the Kensington Palace Communications Secretary, Jason Knorf, for help to make it known the pair were an item. Originally, Harry was going to write it on his underpants and say, I love Megsy, and fly it from the main mast at Buckingham Palace, but he was dissuaded from doing so. In his writing, Lowe says, Harry phoned Knorf, demanding that he put out a statement confirming that Harry was his girlfriend and condemning the racist and sexist undertones of some of the media coverage. Harry's wife wanted public validation, actually she wanted control and fuel, that this was a serious relationship. She was convinced, victim mentality and paranoia, that the palace was unwilling to protect her from media intrusion. The claim is one of a series of scathing revelations made about Harry's wife in Lowe's story, airing a number of claims from insiders and former aides inside his latest analysis of life behind palace walls. It again goes on to repeat the tale about her going to Australia and expecting to be paid. It also continues with stating explosive bust-ups between the Duchess and her aides during the royal tour of Australia were the focus of the Buckingham Palace bullying probe. The 16-day trip in 2018 is said to have seen a string of clashes between Harry's wife and staff. At one point, Harry's wife is claimed to have lost her temper with an assistant and a hot drink was knocked over. Of course, others say that the drink was actually thrown over somebody. A source said, the Australia tour is one of the most important in the royal world, but there have long been allegations of rows with staff. If these assistants come forward, it will form the centre of the palace's bullying probe. It was a critical time. Of course, these allegations and revelations continue to pour forward, creating a torrid time for Harry's wife, and they're being picked up by all of the media outlets. I expect, of course, that those that are receiving the PR dollars will continue to try and nullify these threats to control. But it paints a picture. Time and time again, those individuals that have worked with her, who had no axe to grind, who tried to help her, found themselves on the receiving end of her arrogant, haughty, dismissive and unpleasant behaviour. Not just one person, but many people. Invariably, when you're involved with a narcissist, and if you happen to find out more information from family members, friends, and particularly exes, a picture forms. Also, if you're with the narcissist, you'll see those glimpses, even if they operate a facade of contemptuous treatment of a waiter or somebody who works in a store, being nasty to a family member. The fact that the narcissist might not have anything to do with their own family. There are, of course, the skeletons in the closet, the corpses littered through the life of the narcissist as they have been brought in, devalued and cast to one side or placed upon the shelf. Harry's wife is no different, and she continues to be exposed. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.